Hi, I'm Dan, and in this video I'm going to show you how to get one blueprint to talk to and command another blueprint using scripting. So my setup is I've got a third-person template game. I've created two quick blueprint classes. So one of them is a light, and all I've done is I've put a point light inside this. The other one is a switch. So the switch has a footplate that you can stand on, and it's got a small collision box which will detect when the player walks on it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up the light so that it can be switched on and off. So we're going to create a function. Yes, here we go. And we're going to call this switch on. And the effect of this is going to be that it takes the point light and set visibility, and we're going to set the visibility to true. Now, actually, we've started off with this light switched on, so I'm going to quickly go to point light and turn off visibility so that when the game starts, it's invisible, which is equivalent to not being switched on. So that's a function which will switch on the light. And we could just use another function to switch the lights off, but I'm going to show you the variety that you can use here by, instead of using a function, using an event. So it's pretty much equivalent. We're going to do custom event. I'm going to call this switch off. And that's going to do reverse point light and set visibility. And that's going to set the visibility to false. There we go. Right. So now we want to control this from the switch. So we need to get into the switch. Yeah. Now the first thing we want to do, this is the kind of key element of this video, is that what we're going to do is we're going to create a variable inside this blueprint of the type of the other blueprint. So here we go, variable, and we're going to call it my light. So this is the way that you form a connection between the switch and the light. It's a one-way connection. The switch knows which light belongs to it, but the light doesn't know which switch belongs to it. And in fact, you could have more than one switch on the same light if you wanted to. At the moment, it's the default Boolean type, but we've created our own class, and we can access that. And so the thing that we want here is the object reference, which is the top one. And that'll give us a variable of the right type. We're going to expose that variable and compile, because the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to plug that light in. So at the moment, it doesn't know. There might be several lights in the scene. It doesn't know which one is the one it's actually going to talk to. So I'm just going to select the switch. And there, because I made it visible, this variable has appeared here, my light. So if we drop down, there's actually only one BP light in the scene. So we can connect it from there. There, that's it now connected. It's not doing anything yet. So that's what we need to deal with next. So we're going to do event actor begin overlap. And we're going to take a reference from the lights. Here we are. And we're going to we want it to switch on, don't we? Switch on. And I've done this next to the actor begin overlap grayed out node, and then we want to do the opposite for when the actor steps off. So this is the kind of switch where the light's on when you stand on the switch, and it goes off when you go off the switch. We could have different logic if we wanted to. So actor and once again we're going to drag out from my light, and we're going to do switch off. Now, if you remember, switch off was an event, but actually it looks exactly like a function. Yeah. The two of them look identical, and it isn't distinguishing in this script the fact that one of them is a function and one of them is an event. Compile, let's check that it is doing what we want it to do. So here's our switch, stand on, it's gone on, off, on, off, on. Fine, right. And that would be it, apart from I do just want to quickly talk about the difference between using a function and using an event for this. So what I'm going to do is go back into my switch script. I'm just going to get some reporting coming out. So I'm going to use a print string. And this is switch on. So that's when you're on the switch. And mistake. I tried to copy that. I hit the wrong key. I can't remember dealing with it because I don't seem to be able to. So that will be switch off. There we go. And what we're going to do is compile that, go into the light, and similarly inside the event graph, we're going to do so that's going to be that's the light off. Inside switching function. That's on. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to the event graph because there's one more thing I'm going to introduce here, which is I'm going to put a short delay in. There's a delay of 2 seconds before this happens. Now then, it would be nice to be able to do the same inside the function, but so I can delay inside this function, and it's not there. You do not have access to timing nodes or nodes that affect the timing inside functions. And there's some really good but subtle reasons for this. So I can't put that delay in there. So that's one major difference. And I don't know how much computing you know, but when you call a function, then the execution, the order of execution of code gets passed to that function until it gets to the end of the function, and then it gets passed back to where it came from. So in terms of the function, when I do this, we get light on. So the text happens in, they get added in reverse order. So we got light on and switch on. Let's just go off and just ignore what's happening here for a second, and I'll explain this in a second. So we'll do this again going on. So the first thing that happens is the switch, the light is on, and then the switch tells us that it's been switched on. Light on is at the bottom, switch on is at the top. Right, now as I move off, you would expect, if the functionality was the same, that execution would go into the event, and so we would have it telling us that the light is off, and then the switch would tell us that the switch is off. And what's happening is that the switch off happens first, and then the light off. And the light off is coming after that 2-second delay, if you remember. And what is actually happening here is that the execution works differently with events than it does with functions. And you fire off the event, and then you continue with the script from where it was, and the event produces parallel lines in the program. It gives you multitasking inside your program. So the difference between a function and an event is that when you call an event, it starts the event script going, but execution goes back after where you've called the event straight away. Let's see that in the code for the switch. So in here, when we switch off, it calls that event and immediately goes here whilst that event script is running. Whereas with a function, the switch on function, it calls that function, runs that function to the end, and then comes back and does the print string. So that's the difference between events and functions in the way that you're calling them. If you didn't get that bit, don't worry about it. Kind of rewind a few minutes and just get to the point where I had got the switch working, connecting to the light and turning the light on and off. And that is it from me for now.